Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Oswego Alumni Podcast. The views and opinions expressed in this episode are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Oswego Alumni Association, SUNY Oswego, or any of its officials.
I'm Dee Perkins. Welcome to the SUNY Oswego Alumni Podcast. We are so excited today. You may know him as George Washington, but something you may not know about him is he has a degree in computer science. We are so excited to welcome 2009's Tamar Greene to the podcast. Thank you, Tamar.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we have something in common that is kind of hysterical. Back in, time has gone so fast. Back in 2019, it was February 26th, and I finally got a chance to see Hamilton. And I was in the afternoon show at 2:00, fourth row, and I knew you were in it. And I was watching it, and I was just so excited for your success. It meant the world to me. I was a huge fan of the show. But I don't know, am I a bad luck charm? Because I think it was 3 weeks later, Broadway shut down. Do you remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. On March 12th. I absolutely remember that day like any other, truly. I was at the DMV.
So how did they tell you? Was it a group text? Did they bring you into the theater? How did they tell everybody in the show that we're on pause?
Well, the days leading up to it, we all in the world really were figuring out what this thing was, this coronavirus. And we had already been trying to manage what that meant for us, and the producers and the team really said like, okay, maybe now this it's seeming to get a little bit more serious. We'll stop allowing like backstage tours, for example. And I was like, okay, all right, that's a bummer because I had some friends coming, but all right, I understand that. And of course, none of us knew how big this thing was. We were like, oh, that's annoying, whatever, but whatever. And then the next stage was like, we're gonna not have, like a line outside the stage door for meeting people and audience members and such, and fans who wanted to come say hello to us and sign. And I actually really enjoyed meeting folks after the show and talking and whatever, signing things. And I was like, okay, that's a bummer as well. So it was another week of that. So like it was like building a little bit of like, we're gonna hold back these things and try to protect you all. And I understood that. And then there was like talk amongst all of us. I remember it was I believe it was Tom Hanks. When Tom Hanks got coronavirus, we were like, oh snap, this is hitting like us. I don't know why Tom Hanks is like, oh no, not you. But that was the first moment we were like, it's hitting like entertainers, and there might be a time of shutting down, so that was the first moment. And then it happened. I had just bought a car, and so I was like really in a true battle of like getting my license plate. So I spent like that whole week in the daytime before the show putting in like a full-time shift at the DMV trying to get my license plates. And then I had finally gotten them on the morning of the 12th of March. And as I'm leaving the DMV, I get a text from the company manager, I believe it was, and said, don't come into work today. And then there'll be something official coming out later. So that's the short story of how we all were told not to come in. Now there were some folks who were already in the city who were like rehearsing, like the swings and such. They rehearsed in the daytime. I did not have rehearsal, so I was home getting ready to go to work that evening. So.
And is there a group text of everyone who's in the show that kind of fired up and went, oh my God, what does this mean for us? And I imagine if there was, that it kind of carried you through the year.
Yeah, we didn't. At least our company didn't have a group text, really. Our company manager had reached out, as I said a moment ago, but other than that, like, internal closer friends would reach out, like me and Miguel, my friend Miguel, who plays Hamilton. He texted me because him and I were back and forth about the Tom Hanks thing. And he was like, even that morning he was watching the news. He was like, dude, I think they're going to call it. I was like, no way, they don't cancel Broadway shows. Like, they're not going to call it, there's going to be more restrictions or something, whatever, but they're not going to call it. And then the day went on, and then they called it. So him and I were in close contact with each other. And post, though, to answer your question about as far as like a group thing, we had these group like Zoom things. As Zoom was starting to become more and more popular, we started having meetings, weekly meetings, to kind of just talk about it. Like, we're going to be back on April 1st, guys, but what are we doing between now and then? That kind of talk. And then it was like, okay, well, it got extended to June 1st, and see what's going to happen, And then it was September 1st, and then it was January maybe, and it was just like, I don't know what's going on,
So
we did, sorry, I was just gonna say we did come together through like weekly meetings and check-ins through whoever wanted to come to the open-ended weekly meeting.
And I saw you kept yourself busy. You had other projects. So I have a funny project and I have a beautiful project. Of course, I'm going to start with the funny project. Okay. So share my screen. Here we go. Oh, first, this is a really great article from, you're part of an organization called, well, the name of the magazine is The Clef.
Oh, yes.
That told a great story about you getting tickets via Ham for Ham. So I'm going to come back to you. This is a really funny story. So I'll let you tell it.
Yeah, my first time seeing the show. Oh man, where do I start? So I know a friend who's in the show. We had done Porgy and Bess together, on tour together. And she reached out to me and said she was working on this new project that I might enjoy. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. She was like, check it out. I got these tickets. I want to come check it out. This is maybe end of 2014, possibly the beginning of 2015. It's somewhere around in that time. And I said, yeah, I haven't seen you in a while. Sure, I'll come check out whatever this thing is. She's like, yeah, it's kind of like Les Mis, but like not at all, but it's, but just come check it out. I was like, all right, sure, whatever. And then I booked a different show, and that called me to be out of town. And I was like, okay, can't make it to your show, but when I come back in town, I'll check it out. And she told me the name of it, but it didn't stick. I was like, whatever, some show. And then as I was away, the name of said show was repeated a bunch on different talk shows and the different things going on, and talking about some shot of some sort going somewhere. I was like, I don't know what this is. And I was like, wait, no, I think I do know what this is. This is that show that my friend was telling me about. And so over that time, now 2015, I was like, hey, do you is that show you were talking about, this American what's it called, Hamilton, the American musical? And she's like, yeah, that's the one. I was like, oh wow, that really blew up. That's starting to blow up. You still have tickets available? Is that the public at the time? And she was like, no, Tamar, no, I do not.
Nobody has tickets.
No. And this is before Broadway still, this is the public.
Uh-huh.
And so then skip a few to your question, or your part of your question, is like then later on that year, that was like early February where it just was. Now skip a few to like June. That show was now transferring to Broadway and having their previews. And I was like downtown with my girlfriend, and I was like, you know what, let's go see a show or something. Let's go try to win tickets to something. I have no idea what's open, but we're downtown, and let's see what's available. And so we saw that this Hamilton, the American musical, had a show that night. I was like, okay, all right. I was hanging out with a bunch of friends, and we were like, all right, we're gonna go try to see if we can win this lottery. I never win a lottery, but like it's on the way to the A train, so I might as well, check it out. And I went there, and I put in for the lottery, and I won 2 tickets to see the show in previews. And I was so excited. And again, the show wasn't huge yet. And so I was so excited that I would like have pictures of myself with tickets to something. I'm like, I want tickets to something. This is awesome. In my mind, I was like, I'm here for a friend, but I don't really, I don't know what Hamilton is. But then I saw the show, and I'm sitting down, and I'm looking around to see who's there. And in walks Joe Biden walking. In walks Joe Biden. I'm like, what? Oh, huh. I guess this is kind of a big thing here.
And the best part is you're sitting in front of him. You have better seats.
I am right. I am sitting in front of Joe Biden.
Now we're lucky he's tall and you're tall. I'm guessing he can see past you probably.
Yeah, I think it's all right. Yeah, I think it's all right.
So that is your brush with the real president, and that's his brush with President George Washington.
There you go. Yeah, it's funny. I now that I'm in the Broadway company, when I started, people were showing me that right by my dressing room, there's this like painting of Alexander Hamilton. There's like a sketch on the wall, and a bunch of people who've come to the show, stars and such, have signed all those kind of messages on that piece of the wall. So it's nice to walk by it all the time. And then one of the shows, somebody was like, "Oh, look, and over here, Joe Biden signed." And I was like, ha, that's so funny. I was there that night.
Oh my God, that is a great, great story. So COVID happens, and like I said, you got yourself busy doing a whole bunch of things, and I want to show you here. Let's see if I can make this happen. Share my screen. And show you something funny and then something not as funny. So we will get out of this. And here is something fun from Netflix.
This goes out to everybody that wants to move. Get up and feel the groove. Let's dance. Now reach your hands up to the sky. Flap your wings and pretend to fly. Bring it on down to your toes.
So definitely not along the lines of Hamilton.
Yeah.
How did that wind up coming to you?
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. I didn't know what you were going to show. I was like, what did I do that was
My job to surprise you, man. My job.
Very good. You've done your job. It was kind of like one of those, networking, who do you know kind of things. It was like a friend of mine who I met doing just like some charity like event, and we became pretty good friends. And she just happened to be doing, I didn't know at the time, I had no idea that she does some sort of like casting type stuff as well. I had no idea, but she reached out to me because somebody with Netflix, was doing a project and was looking for a singer to do said project. And she was like, "Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't even know you did this, but let's I'm excited for something like that. That sounds really cool." And then I talked with the composers of the song, and I still didn't know what it was. She didn't tell me Netflix at the time, but then I learned more and more, and they were like, "Oh yeah, so this is a promo for Netflix Junior Jams." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Definitely expands your audience.
Definitely, yeah, expands the audience a little bit.
So and that happened. I'm guessing it happened during COVID, right?
It was, yeah.
So did you record that in your house?
I did. I did. It was when I was, and I've always been, I'm tech savvy and such. So I have a bunch of equipment and mics and stuff like that, and I've been trying to work on my engineering skills for many, many years. And so I had a bunch of stuff here, and so they did a Zoom test thing to test out my studio and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, that sounds great." So I was like, "If you're good with it, I'm good with it. Let's do it." And we recorded it that way, and that was early on before everything, before I got into a lot of projects that were all recorded in your own house,
Yeah, and you have to make sure all the soundproofing is happening and people don't walk in while you're recording.
Yeah. Definitely have to make sure you schedule even in your own home, right? You schedule okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I did one project where all of a sudden then somebody was mowing the lawn, and it's like, okay, they'll be done in a minute, surely. And then out came the leaf blower for the next hour.
Oh my God, no.
You can't really do too much with that.
No. All right, so now I'm going to share something that is a little more powerful.
Okay.
And you can see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
He's like the sun I might have known. If God had granted me a son, the summer's day, one by one, I'll soon be flying on, and I am old and will be gone.
So that's Bring Him Home. Oh my God.
Yes.
So I if I play anymore, I'm just going to cry my eyes out. So I'm trying really hard. I can't even hear that song without getting teary-eyed. And so I wanted to play it for you and say you're not only a professional Broadway singer, you're an opera singer. So when you're doing a performance like that, and that was during COVID at a church in New York City, right around the time of Christmas, are you in the mindset of Jean Valjean and thinking about the story? Are you thinking about the notes and let me make sure I don't crack because I get emotional when I hear this song? What's in your mind when you're singing something like that?
Normally when I'm doing a song that's outside of the context of the show, I form my thoughts around how it can relate to me outside of the show, completely separate from the show. So that song had a lot of, and not that it's like complete separate, but I don't think of myself as like Valjean by any means. I'm like Tamar Greene talking to God about, this person I see as my child. It's slightly different, but more internalized and personal to me. And that song is one that performance was actually my first time singing that song. And I loved that song for many years. I was not a singer first, I'm a pianist first. And when I started playing around with more music, vocal music, and discovering what musical theater meant, I discovered the show, Les Mis, and discovered the soundtrack and a bunch of different songs. And I remember listening to that song, and I was like, this is pretty awesome. This is a pretty cool song. And I remember trying to sing the song. And I actually had, I don't know, it's probably on an old hard drive somewhere, but I was literally at my dad's house and like recorded myself trying to sing this song as a young singer. But again, I was grown really, and I just didn't know how. I was not ready in the point of my training as a singer yet. I was still fresh. And then I failed, but like I had fun trying to sing it, but I kind of failed. And that little piece of that failure, actually, it stuck with me for many, many years. And that from that moment, I was actually really scared of this song. And then like I'd never done it. I never even thought about doing it for an audition or doing it. I was like, anytime I thought about it, I was like, yeah, no, that's a cool song that I will never do. And then over this pandemic, I was working with some friends of mine, and one friend of mine named Megan Pacherno, she's Christine Diane right now in Phantom on Broadway. And we were doing some concerts of that concert, but we've done several concerts over the past year. And we needed a big song. You're like, we got all these other things. You're doing this, you're doing that. It's funny, Golden Age, all this stuff. We need a big song. You know what, Tamar, you should do, you'd sound great doing Bring 'Em Home. And I was like, no. I had a moment of like, no, I'm not doing that. Just like a very quick moment. And I didn't verbalize it, but I felt it. And I was like, I'm not doing the song. And then I was like, why not? Why wouldn't I do the song? And I was like, it was like that moment where I had to realize that that person was 15 or so years old who was telling me no, actually. It was me, but it wasn't today me. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this song. I'm gonna do this song. And so I practiced it and worked it out. And so it had a special, different meaning even, like, yes, to the acting stuff I mentioned a moment before, but it also had this other deeper meaning of me conquering this thing that I told myself I couldn't do for many years.
Wow, that's an amazing story. You are a big person when it comes to conquering things. You didn't walk into an audition to Hamilton and get that role. The story I read, 3 years. You asked your agent, get me in the room where it happens, and he was unsuccessful. So then you went to an open call. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I auditioned going back a little to the story earlier about getting the tickets to the show and seeing the show for the first time, that was the catalyst of change for me, because I was already in New York when they had auditions and breakdowns coming up for when it was at the Public, and it was passing along. But amongst when things get big in the city amongst actors, it always happens amongst actors first before it goes public, and then before it goes to New York next, and then it goes the world. So it was getting some talk amongst actors, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm excited about this. I'm not sure. It's a hip hop musical. I've known some hip hop musicals that just weren't really it for me. So it's like, I might let this one pass. Like that was my mentality, like in 2014 and such. And then, and so now seeing the show, it really was, it just kind of changed my life. It really did change my life. I'm first generation American. My parents are from the Caribbean. My mom was born in England, but her family is from Jamaica, as well as my dad. And so a kid from the Caribbean who was, and coming to this country, all of that stuff. I'm like, this is my family. This is my parents, who are immigrants in this country. So it meant a lot to me in that moment. So that was the catalyst of me really trying to get into the room where it happened. Trying to get into
Come on, we gotta say it.
I know we gotta say it. I know. I like it, whatever, I guess. No. To get into the room. And I started really trying, and had my agents like submitting me, and I was like, please, I need to do something. I don't know what, just something. Let them see me, please. And I couldn't get seen for a while. I know they were looking for like some fresh talent at the time, fresh new faces, and I knew them from Porgy and some other projects. They knew who I was, and so I couldn't get an appointment. And so I was like, all right, I got to get in there some other way. So I went ahead and saw the notice that came up somewhere, some platform, I can't remember, but I saw the little flyer that came up and said, we're doing open calls, and usually they're non-union, but it's really open to anyone who wants to wait in line and such. And so I did. Me and a friend of mine waited in that line out in the rain, starting at like 8 a.m. or something, just like hours and hours and hours waiting in this line while there are people from literally all over the world who flew in to be seen for Hamilton. People who didn't make sense. It could be like a 90-year-old mother from Australia, just like, it's like, what? This is not even, I don't even understand. Have you seen it? It was everyone. But yeah, that was my first time. I went into the room, and they were asking for like a pop song, and if you have something to showcase your rapping, that'd be great too. And I said, oh, okay. So as I arranged things, I arranged I think it was a John Legend song, but they didn't have a rap in it that I liked. So, and then I didn't have all the time to really like create a complete piano arrangement. So I just said, like, you know what, this would be cool a cappella, actually. So I told the pianist, I said, so here's what I wrote, right? I have this John Legend sheet music, and we're gonna go from here, we're gonna go to here, but don't slow down like you would normally slow down at the end of a song. And that's very common, because I'm gonna jump right in with this rap thing, And he was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, cool, sounds good. I'm like, okay, thank you so much for your time, appreciate it. All right, let's go. And then I go and I do the thing, I'm singing, and I'm like, this sounds good, this feels good. Get near the end, and he starts slowing down. And I was like, no, please don't. He starts slowing down. And so I sing the big last note. I can't really do much about his speed. I sing the last note, and then I could see the casting person like go like, thank you. And I was like, no, I got to do it. And I just jumped in anyway with my rap, just like cut her off and just did the thing. And finished this rap. It was like a ludicrous rap from another John Legend song. And then I finished it, and I was like, like I cut her off, and I was like, oh, that wasn't rude. I don't know. Let's see. It was silent for a minute, and she kind of took a note in her notebook and was like, take this down the hall. And I was like, okay. All right, cool, I guess. And I was like, that was the beginning of my callbacks for Hamilton. So I was finally in the room. I finally was able to get into the room.
But for a lot of actors who are watching today who want to get that inside scoop from you of how to be successful, it doesn't end there. Time goes by, right?
Oh yeah, I was like, getting back to your point, yeah, I was in the room, but then it took an additional couple years of consistently being told no. Told not, it really wasn't no, it was like, not right now even. Like they were like, it doesn't, it's not working out right now. And I was like, okay, all right, because I think it was probably 16 by the time I was able to actually get into the room, because I spent the rest of that year, right, when it was just opening on Broadway when I saw it in the summer of 15, and then spent the rest of that year trying to wait on the appointment from my agents. And then I was like, I just got to get in the room. And so then like from 16 on, it was like it was 2+ years, we'll say. So not quite 3, but 2+ years of me just like going and having the callbacks and going back in again. And I was like, it was doing Mulligan Madison first. And it was like, this is not quite right. And I didn't know in the beginning, I didn't know the music, and I had the sheet in my hand and trying to read it. And like, there's so many words, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, yeah, tomorrow, next time I see you, I don't want to see any papers in your hand. I'm like, yes, ma'am. Yep. I'll be back hopefully in a couple weeks if you'll have me,
Wow.
So it was definitely a battle. Now everyone knows every song, but then you didn't really know that much. But yeah, 2+ years of constant callbacks. They added Lafayette Jefferson to the packet. It felt, better, but not quite right still. And then they added George Washington to the packet. And I said, oh yeah, this felt right.
Who did they, so you said they added Lafayette. Who were you starting with? Were you starting with Aaron Burr?
No, I was starting with Mulligan Madison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just the Mulligan Madison. And that's what I wanted to be, honestly. I was like, I want to be Hercules Mulligan and Taylor Spine on a British company. I wanted that rawness, made me feel young, and I was like, but I'm not 18, so.
Yeah, but the guy who's playing it in your show right now, he's not 18. He's the former genie.
The Mulligan, well, he's Lafayette Jefferson.
Right.
Not Mulligan. Right. Yeah, Mulligan Madison is younger.
Yeah, different. That's right. I'm sorry, different guy.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah. He's Mulligan Madison is, I don't know how old he is, but they were casting a bit younger.
So the one thing that I think about when you're such a talent vocally, you talk about being a pianist, but that show is hard on a body. Were you ever concerned, I'm not going to be able to do the dancing?
After I went and really saw it, and watched the show, I was never super concerned. I've always been I'm not a dancer, but I've always been a decent mover. And so I knew I could like pick up things. And so anyone who doesn't know the difference between a dancer and a mover, a dancer like straight up as you would know a dancer, choreography, I could do this, maybe do some backflips, all that good stuff. And a mover is someone who can pick up choreographed movements and that are like light dancing basically, but not like where you need like formal training to be able to really do it justice. So the principals did more movement-based stuff. If we're doing number 1 or number 2 and doing all these other things, I can do that. I can follow those kind of directions. So I was like, I think I'm gonna be okay. I think I'm gonna be okay. And then I went to the auditions and I was like, am I gonna be okay? Because when you're doing the dance audition, sometimes they're like, everyone's dancing everything. So like, they don't necessarily, some do. Some say we're doing a mover call and we're doing a dancer call. But these first ones that I went to were like, this is the dance, this is the call, and so I did a whole bunch of stuff. I did some bird dances for room where it happened. I did all kind of different things, but they called me back. So I was like, all right, let's do it.
And you finally get there, and opening night is like what? Like how, I don't know how you contain that kind of nervous energy. I guess you contain it because you've done it a number of times.
You get better at learning how to manage it, but I often when I'm talking to students and kids, I talk about how I grew up with crippling stage fright. So when I was young, I mean, I chose, and I make this joke a lot with different interviews. I say like, I always I say I chose the piano because it was the biggest instrument I could hide behind, you know? So, you know, I'm like, they're not seeing me, it's not me. This is Beethoven playing right now, you know? So that's something that I've had to conquer since I was young, like being familiar with what fear is and gaining the power to decide whether it's going to be crippling or if you're going to use it as fuel. And that's daily a battle, yearly a battle. And it's still, you know, I've gotten to a good place, obviously, but I'm on stage all the time, but like, it still is a thing that, you know, comes up, small moments. So to answer your question, that first day was really nerve-wracking. It was really nerve-wracking. I had to really face it like, man, everyone in this audience is going to know these words like better than me, you know? And I'm like, I can't mess this up. I can't mess this up. I mean, this is Chris Jackson. It did so well. Everyone loves him, you know, all this just talk in your head, you know? And then once you decide how to tackle the fight or flight and you realize you're going to fight, then it turns. And so you step on that stage and you do the thing and you're just in it. You're just committed 110%. And then you walk off the stage and sometimes you feel like you can hurl. Because you're like, all this energy is like stuck now in your core and like your stomach is in pain and tied up in knots. And it's like, okay, all right, cool. I made it. I think I made it. I don't know. Did I say all the things? I think I said the things.
Nobody in the cast is looking at me weird, so I guess I did.
you know, I didn't get kicked in the face, you know, so I think I did the thing.
Oh my God. So it's like a blankness after you've done it, a blankness and I'm going to throw up now. Eventually it stops being I'm going to throw up now though, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The first show was definitely like, it was, I always say that like it was because there's so much like choreography off stage that actually helped me to not be as nervous on stage because I felt more calm on stage because I feel like I was like, I'm not prepared for all this traffic backstage because when you're in the rehearsals and stuff as a replacement as I was, you jump in to an already running machine and you trail, means you watch the person who you're going to replace. You trail them backstage and you watch a little bit, but you're focused on that person, not necessarily watching as you should be, but you're not necessarily watching like what's happening, who's in your way. And then you start to do that as Act 2 comes in, he's like, oh my goodness, there's so much, I can't follow him. I'm trying to take notes. I'm like, I can't, but that's your only time to really understand the backstageography. So by the time I went on, it was like my first time fully costumed, everyone else is fully costumed. So I got to watch out for this person getting their dress taken off and this person throwing their shoes on. So I was like, I need to get back on stage, you know? And so I'm back on stage, I'm like, okay, this I practiced for 7 weeks. This I know.
So here we are 17 months later. It's September, you're coming back September 14th. Did I have that right?
Yep, that's right. Mm-hmm.
So September 14th, it's been some time. Is the beast back in your chest? Is the beast like, hey, we're scared again. This is we got to do this all over again. We got to relearn. We learn everything. Not so much the choreography and the songs, because I almost feel like that's muscle memory, but relearn how to handle the anxiety again.
Actually, no, I think it's flipped for me. I mean, I spent the last 17 months trying to really not even think about Hamilton at all. I've really been trying, because like it was too much to, as I said, the first day was March 12th and they said we're coming back April 1st. And so then I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, let's go. I'm gonna take a short break and then we'll go back to the thing. And then it was September 1st and I was like, all right, I guess September 1st, that's possible. Or actually it was June 1st after that, sorry, it was June 1st. And I was like, yeah, this is possible, it's great. And then once I got to September 1st, I was like, I have to do something else, we're not getting paid. So it's like, I need to do other things. So I really had to I can't keep the hope alive for him. I have to just I have to work in other ways. And so hence the projects and such. But so right now coming back, I'm like excited and I'm like cautiously optimistic of like what's going on in the world right now. So I'm like really in this just like chill mental state, but also really excited to see my family and my friends.
Are they putting you in full-on rehearsals now?
Yeah, we go back to rehearsal August 16th.
Wow.
So
And you had your fitting already.
I did have my fitting. Yeah, I didn't have my final fitting, but I did have my fitting, and all that'll come in this.
Yeah, the COVID-10. What happened, Tamar?
Yeah, I know, right? That's real. Yeah, but I got my trainer now, so we're getting it together. Getting it together.
You just got to be really nice to the costume department. Can I have a little elastic here?
That it definitely happened with a lot of people. A lot of people have changed for sure. I mean, a year and a half is a long time. I was fortunate, though. I will say that when I shifted from the Chicago company to the Broadway company, I was still in my Chicago costumes, and they were already preparing me to make new ones, but then everything shut down. And so now I'm getting brand new costumes. So I don't have to worry about getting in my old costumes.
Yay! Oh my God, that's wonderful.
Yeah, well,
One last thing that happened to you during COVID, you got engaged.
yes, indeed. Yes, indeed, I did. Yeah, last Christmas.
And tell us about the lucky lady.
So yeah, her name is Lindsay Roberts. She is a fellow actress, and we met doing Porgy and Bess years and years ago. So we've been really good friends and whatnot, and we started dating, of course. But yeah. We got engaged over this Christmas, and we will be getting past Christmas, and we'll be getting married in October, actually.
Yay!
So,
I got married in October too. It's a lucky month.
oh yeah? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
It's
30 plus years. So
oh wow, that's amazing. Congratulations to you. That's awesome.
thank you. Thank you. So you're probably wondering when we get to the Oswego part.
Oh yeah, whatever.
So my last two questions, the origin story of Oswego. You grew up in Rochester, and so Oswego was probably in the discussion amongst all the people that you hung out with in high school. What made you settle on Oswego?
I actually originally didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was in high school, I went to the School of the Arts, and I had ideas of going out of state. I had a lot of things in my mind, and then I was trying to figure out if I even wanted to do music anymore. And so I initially, I got into some other schools, but I initially was like, I don't think that's for me right now. And so I actually went to a community college first in Rochester while I figured out what I wanted to do. And then as I was there and starting to figure out more and more what I wanted to do, we were looking for colleges I would transfer to. And I was talking to my friends, and I had a girlfriend at the time. We were all looking at our majors and whatnot. And then they had this really cool 2+2 program with Oswego. And I looked at this Oswego, I was like, okay, yeah, this looks pretty cool. And I saw that they honored a lot of the credits from my community college. I think all of them. I was like, that's awesome, great. And then I was looking up the music department, and I was like, oh, there seems to be some great folks here, folks who graduated from Eastman, folks who are really doing some great things. And it felt to me like it was a good compromise of not compromise really, but good combination of things I really wanted to do. I didn't really want to go to a straight music school, which is where I was going to do right after high school. But so they had both. They had the computer stuff that I wanted to do, and also great teachers for my music interests as well. So it was just perfect. Really, it was perfect for what I wanted to do.
It sounds like in your career, in the beginning of it, I think a lot of people experience this, that it's difficult in the beginning to get started, and a lot of people are saying no. So this is my favorite question. This is your Oscar speech. If you wanted to thank any of the folks at Oswego that made your early days a little bit easier, here's your chance.
Oh my goodness. I would like to thank, oh my goodness, so many people. I could thank Todd Graber. Changed my life. Our relationship changed my life. He guided me through so much. He even after Oswego, he still was following me and making sure that I was doing well, and if he could help me to get my master's program. I went to Eastman afterwards, and he's just So Mr. Graber, Todd Graber, and Rob Aller, who really got me into shape on the keys, and really like I auditioned first for him, and he was like, "You gotta be a piano major." Like, you gotta be a piano major. And I was like, I don't know if that's really for me, but like he really took me under his wing and showed me he showed me what it was like to be a great pianist. He's a wonderful pianist. He was still performing, had albums. He allowed me to explore with him while he was creating albums. And it was really, really, really beautiful thing. There's so many people. There's Julie Pretzit, Merchant. I believe, yes, Merchant. So I want to say that. You're incredible. I can go down the list of people. Eric Schmitz. You helped me perfect my jazz, not perfect, but like introduce me to my jazz playing and allowed me to be a part of the jazz band there at Oswego. There's.
You're wishing I would play you off right now.
I know. I like
where's the music?
So many wonderful, wonderful people who really just allowed me to play, allowed me to figure out who I was going to be, and fellow classmates who helped me out, and Tim Lanigan and John Powers, and just other classmates who really just helped me, allowed me to play and figure out what I wanted to be and explore within different genres of music. So, and of course, You Bet Psi, my honorary music fraternity, who again were just good friends who love music and it changed my life. So
do you ever find when you're telling people about Oswego that it was such a special place that people almost look at you like, wait a minute, my college wasn't like that?
Yeah, it truly is a special place. There's so many great things, some that are a little wild, right? Like the snow is really
yeah.
And the wind is like, ooh, like no other. But I really, really love my experience there. I think as you can see behind you, the water is beautiful. Really being in Seneca Hall, and I was looking out my window and seeing the water and seeing the sunset and sunrise over that water. It was beautiful. So it really was a special place. So I've gained so many great friends and great colleagues. So yeah.
Well, Tamar, thank you so much for spending time with us. I want to tell all of our alum and friends that September 14th, Hamilton's back, and some of the other plays are opening before and after that, right? You've seen the same stuff I have.
Just a few, Hadestown opens before us. There's a play, Passover, that just opened, I believe, yesterday. So a couple things, but me and Lion King and Wicked are kind of the, those big ones. We're all opening together on September 14th. So
yeah, we need to support the arts in New York City because that supports all our students. The ones that are graduating, they're looking for jobs. So we have to get out there and actually pay for tickets.
Yeah, come on out. Wear your masks and whatnot. But come on out. It's going to be beautiful. It's really, I'm really looking forward to September 14th. It's going to be something like any of us have ever experienced before. So.
And social media, you can find Tamar on Instagram. Go ahead, tell them where.
Yeah, at Tamar.Greene. That is TAMAR.GREENE, or at tamargreene.com on my website.
I see you on Instagram constantly. You like doing the live stuff. You were DJing a couple weeks ago in Queens, and you were doing the live stuff. It was great.
Yeah, I was doing that was a big show. Yeah, that was another project. Yeah, I do a lot of stuff I love to share, so I'm active on there. So follow me on Instagram, on the gram, and I'll see y'all there.
And by the way, last thing, happy birthday.
Thank you so much. Leo season. Yes.
Yay. Well, I am Dee Perkins. Thanks, Tamar. And we will see you next time on the SUNY Oswego Alumni Podcast.